I'm delighted today that my good friend Dr. Andrew Blackwood is with us, and we often refer to him as Coach Drew. Drew, good to see you today. You're keeping well?
Good to be here, Mike. Oh, I'm doing well. Fantastic. Great. Fabulous.
Listen, every time I know I'm doing something with you, I always try to think, could I wear something just to make myself look a little better than you? But I just keep flunking out on that. You're always looking, you're styling, man. You're styling.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Mike.
That's okay. Hey, but Drew, one of the things that's just all over the news right now is the pressure that parents and young children are dealing with regarding the vaccination. And I got to spend a little bit of time last week with my two granddaughters, and they're 8 and 9. And why are kids stressed out like that? I'm thinking this is not healthy. So I want to ask you right out of the can, what's the best way we can support kids right now as parents are watching and grandparents?
Well, yeah, that's definitely a concern for many parents. And I know people are on the fence, people have concerns as parents, and those concerns can filter down to their kids, right? They're watching the news, maybe you're hearing things at school. So there are a lot of different perspectives. But the best thing that parents can do has never changed. It's always been the same.
What's that?
I know we want our children to feel better, right? We want to ease their anxiety, but the only way to feel better is to actually think better, right? So,
Okay.
how we can help our kids is actually by not trying to fix things, not trying to solve things, but really joining them and getting a sense of what they're feeling and what they're experiencing and what's going through their mind. And we do that through listening with love, listening in a way that invites and promotes sharing. That's the best thing parents can do.
Can you just give me an example of what that would look like? Just take a minute and paint a scenario
Yeah,
because you have
for
small children
sure.
yourself.
I do, 8 and 5. So, regardless of the topic that we're talking about, our thoughts, right? They inform our emotions. So, a simple definition of anxiety is thinking about the future, but imagining something unpleasant happening. So, whenever they're feeling anxious, they're imagining something. So, it's really just a thought that's causing them to feel a particular emotion. So, as opposed to trying to get away from the emotion, escape it, or avoid it, what we want to help our children do is label it, learn to tolerate it enough so that they can think through things in a very, very productive and effective way. So my daughter talk about it quite often. She was really afraid of bees. So, I was concerned because I didn't want her to miss out on things. So I wanted to help her. So as I listened to her, I started to say, okay, so you look really afraid. What's going on for you? And the more I talked to her about it, the more she was able to open up and share a story about her friend who got stung by a bee in the eye. And she was just afraid because if it could happen to her friend, then it could happen to her. So being able to help her tolerate that and then start to think through, what's the likelihood of this happening, right? And being able to walk her through that, teach her how to breathe and do all these things. But it started with the listening. And let me tell you, Mike, in like a couple weeks, she was out there running. I had to pull her back. It's like, listen, do not approach the bees. Do not attack the bees. But
Let
she's like,
me
I want to go out and play. They're in my way, right?
So talking through seems to be a very key thing. I also think that many times as parents, we can pass on our anxiety to some of the children. You work with families, especially around the area of anxiety. What are some of the other stories you've been seeing right now that the kids may not be sharing with their parents or loved ones out of fear?
It also depends on the age, right? A lot of the times our younger children, they don't have the language. However, as we support parents to kind of help them start to feel safe, you find that our kids are often concerned about their safety, but also their parents' safety. Because on another level, if the parents aren't feeling safe and secure, then the children are going to worry about their own safety and security. So by helping children realize that, you know what, I'm okay, I'm going to be okay, God is taking care of us, we're okay. That helps children to really appreciate, okay, we can survive this situation, we are going to be okay. So it's twofold. It's parents really learning how to process that and deal with their own emotions and their own thoughts and their own situations, not just coping, right? We want to be able to effectively bring about change and to address situations with both competence and confidence, right? And then that then translates onto our kids.
I like that. I'm going to invite Mitch Hunter to jump in right now. I know he's got a question for you. So, Mitch, talk to Dr. Drew. Ask him the question.
Yeah, Andrew, I've been listening into this conversation. I say it's all very interesting, and you say for parents, the best way to support their children is listening with love. And I'm a young guy, I've got no kids, and I'm wondering for folks like myself who are part of the community and they know young children and they say, how can I support young children without overstepping the role of the parents? For folks like myself and teachers and aunts and uncles who don't personally have young kids but would like to be part of a healthy development of children, how can we help?
You know what? The same thing applies. That's what I love about healing and healthy communication, right? You don't have to be the biological parent or the guardian to be able to be part of that sense of community. One of the things that children and adults too, they require is a sense of belonging, a sense of safety, a sense of strength and power. So we can give that to children simply by engaging with them. Because remember, listening with love is not just passively hearing things. It's really about learning how to communicate in ways that elicits sharing. So talking about the things that you see is going to be helpful. When you see a child, you engage with them. How are you doing? Well, it looks like you're feeling this. Am I getting that right? So we start to give them the language and help them to start to feel safe enough to share, because that becomes part of the culture. That becomes part of their world, part of their way of thinking and engaging with their own emotions. When we can tolerate it, then we can be intentional about it. So every chance they have to hear somebody being comfortable with what they're actually feeling, that's going to be a great support and help to them.
Thanks, Andrew.
Andrew, really good words of advice. I'm looking forward to tomorrow as we're going to be talking about the older segment as we talk about teenagers. If people want to receive help or be a part of your coaching expertise and that growing world that many people are buying into, they can go to coachdrew.ca. And we'll look forward to having you back tomorrow. Right after the break, folks, I might be shiny, but I'm not new to raising little kids. My wife and I, we have 5 daughters of our own, 3 grandchildren. Stay with us, and in the next 5-6 minutes, I'm going to unpack God's Word and just share some of the principles that have helped us in this journey called parenting.